right, our next speaker is Dr. Diego Garcia Bellido, who is an ARC Future Fellow of the School of Biological Sciences at the Faculty of Science at the University of Adelaide, and an Honorary Research Associate of the South Australia Museum. Diego studies diversity, ecology, and early evolution of animals after the Cambrian explosion, the rise of multicellular life, early evolution of animals, on Earth 500 million years ago. He has excavated at the famous Burgess Shale in British Columbia, which is a fossil locality, and he's done that with the Royal Ontario Museum. Since 2007, he has joined the research team working on the slightly older Emu Bay Shale and Kangaroo Island. He is currently working with the South Australia Museum's Professor Jim Gayling on the Edikara biota with the goal of finding the morphological, ecological, and phylogenetic links of these fossils with the Cambrian faunas. Diego has written over 70 research papers, including 3 in the Journal of Nature, book chapters, and popular articles. And he's presented at over 60 international conferences and received over $2.2 million in research funding. Please welcome Dr. Diego Garcia.
Well, thank you all for coming. I know it's 1:30 already, and you're all getting hungry, and so am I. But let's go on with this. Thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be talking to all of you here. When I was invited to talk to you, I thought, okay, what can I tell them? And I think one of the best things, we've already heard from Rachel about applied sciences. Sciences that are looking into ways to directly improve the way we live, the way we use the environment in a safe way, etc. But there's another side to that coin. It's called basic science. Science that doesn't necessarily have to have an immediate impact on the economy or knowledge, etc. And that also needs to be supported. It's not going to find the next cure for AIDS or cancer. It's not going to take us to the moon. But it might bring us things like Wi-Fi, for instance, or the World Wide Net. WWW was a side product of basic research in Geneva at the LHC, the Large Hadron Collider in the CERN. So investment in basic science is very important. And I'm just going to explain, in my case, how that has affected me. As already pointed out, I used to work in Canada, also in the US and Spain. And about 10 years ago, there was a small project that was funded by Australian Research Council. It was a linkage grant with the help of some local institutions, but directed by the University of Adelaide and the South Australia Museum. And it was about $100,000. You might say, wow, how much I could do with that? Well, that was for 3 years for about 10 people collecting fossils, bringing them to the museum, preparing them, studying them, publishing them. And those few thousand dollars actually spread out into a number of findings. Some of them, as mentioned before, published in Nature, which is one of the most prestigious scientific journals, and has taken the name of Kangaroo Island in particular, and the locality that we work on, the Emu Bay Shale, to a next level, to a worldwide knowledge in anybody that's looking at early animal evolution. And not only that, not only has we been able to find, and of course, what happens with paleontology is you go out in the field and you don't know what you're going to find until you actually split that rock or clear that sand if you're working with bones, or in the caves of Naracoorte. In my case, we split rock that's about 500 million years old, so right at the beginning of that evolution for animals, multicellular. Before 500 million years ago, it was all single cell. Single cells dominated the world. 500 million years ago, we start getting large organisms. And so we started to look into that, and we found a number of things that are unique, that put Australia in the map in this context. Not only that, that has snowballed into being able to organize an international meeting, which we held here about less than a year ago, which brought 200 researchers from around the world and brought about $500,000 of revenue to the state. We had 200 people here for a week, eating, consuming, going to hotels, going to various places, plus a couple of weeks just before and after, looking at the sites that we work on. So basic science also transmits benefits to society. It's not as evident maybe as applied science, but it's definitely something that we need to look into. And I think, to wrap this up, I want to say that fossils, paleontology, is probably one of the best heritage assets of this state. We have to make the most of it. Just about a month and a half ago, we had Sir David Attenborough come to South Australia, and he came to visit us, and we showed him the gallery upstairs, and that next day we announced the state fossil emblem, Sprigina, which is one of these about 500 million year old fossils. And some of the best specimens are here for you to see and touch. Science is something you can touch every day. You might not know it. Fossils are everywhere. Those cars are moving on fossils. If it wasn't for that, a lot of our culture and our economy wouldn't even work. So please give a big hand for science. I think it's here for everybody to make a better world. Thank you very much.